Whatever you're into when it comes to sports, you can find it right here. Now, play my intro. Now it's time for the Robb Johnson Sports Show, presented by Robb Johnson Media and the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Robb Johnson Sports Show, episode 94. A little late this morning again. I apologize, but I'm here. The most important thing is that I'm here. It's been, like I said, last show was a couple of days ago. It had been like, three and a half months since I have been with you guys. I am back. Robb Johnson Sports Show, episode 94. Now, let's talk about something this morning, folks. We're not going to talk about many topics, but we're going to get into a few things. And I'm going to try my best to not get not get too hot when I talk about this. Let's talk about the Chicago Bulls. Yes, the Chicago Bulls, a team that at one time was the standard in the NBA. One time was the epicenter of the basketball universe. Now they're just a team that nobody gives two craps about. It has been reported from many sources that the Bulls are looking at a contract extension for Billy Donovan. And my question to not only Billy Donovan, but the Chicago Bulls is why? Why would the Chicago Bulls, first of all, extend Billy Donovan? Number two, if you're Billy Donovan, why the hell would you want to go back to the Chicago Bulls? What is there, besides some young players that, I'm really intrigued by, yes, but you look at some of the players they've had over the years, they've had some young superstars. They've had some superstar names, and they haven't been able to do anything about it, folks. They have not been able to do anything about it. And I think that's the one thing about this that is very frustrating. If not only you're a Bulls fan, not just a Bulls fan, folks, but if you are also a fan of the National Basketball Association, because as I said before, you understand that this team was greatness at one time. This team, between 19, you can even go back to the middle 80s. You can go back to the Jordan era from, the middle 80s of around 87 to about 98. You can discount the time when Jordan had actually retired. But just around that time, the Bulls were still one of those teams where they continued to be a great basketball team and everybody had respect for them. At least that's one thing you can say. The Bulls had respect. But now you can't say that. The Bulls haven't had respect for a very long time. And quite honestly, if you look at this team, trying to actually, for some reason, I'm trying to get this. I'm trying to get my my post here. I'm trying to get this post of my stream here, but whatever. Anyway, you can say whatever you want to about the Chicago Bulls and how they've looked over the last, I don't know how many dozens of years, but what we're going to do is we're going to actually go back and we're going to do some deep diving here as I'm navigating. Social media is one of those things you got to navigate while you're doing these live streams. But we're going to take a little bit of a deep dive into the Chicago Bulls. And this may be painful for some fans, so you can turn away now. You don't have to, I'm telling you, you don't have to look if you don't want to. But we're going to take a little bit of a deep dive into this. So in 1997-98, the Bulls won 62 games. All right. That was in 1997-98 season. Now, we're going to go through the seasons here. Now, from 97-98 till about 2010 to 11 season, this was the Bulls' record through those years. 17 wins, 15, 21, 30, 23, 47, 47, 41, 49, 33, 41, 41. And then in 2010, 2011, they won 62 games, which matched what they did back in 97, 98. Now, you go back through some of those years, you had a guy like Scott Skiles who played some pretty good, they played some pretty good, was a really good, decent coach for that team. Remember they had Luau Dang on those teams, the Jimmy Butlers of the world, etc. Remember they lost in the Eastern Conference semis back in 2006, 2007. So at least they made some headway. At least they had some players. And that's what I'm saying. The Bulls had some players over the years. It's not like the Bulls didn't have players over the years. Now, you go to 2010, 2011, when they won the 62 games, their most since they won the NBA championship. Okay? Now, you go season by season after that. 50, 45, 48, 50, 42, 41, 27, 22, 22, 31, 46, 40, 39, 39. The last 2 years, 39 and 46, the Chicago Bulls have gone. And again, the Bulls have had really good players over the years. They've had the Zach LaVines. They've had the DeMar DeRozans. They've had the Joe Kim Noahs. They've had Jimmy Butler. They had Jimmy Butler on their team. They had Bobby Portis. They had the Kurt Heinrichs, Luau Dings, the Ben Gordons, the Derrick Roses, the Eric, let me get his name right. The Elton Brands. They've had these players. They've had these guys on their team. But yet and still, they have not been able to get it done as a franchise. This team is 59 years in. I believe they're going to their 60th season coming up this year. I'm sorry, that'll be the 2026 season. The 2026 season should be the 25-26 season should be their 60th year in the league. This team's record overall is 2,422 and 2,340. So they have a winning record as a franchise. Most of that belonging to Jordan and the crew, Pippen and the crew when they were winning championships. But I say these numbers to say this. If you're a Bulls fan, just how in the hell do you explain anything that's going on right now? How do you explain retaining Billy Donovan, who in his career, mind you, he did well with the Thunder, but he had talent with the Thunder. Let's not forget that he had talent with the Oklahoma City Thunder. His time with the Bulls in 5 seasons, 195 and 205. In 5 seasons. That feels like that's what he does. He comes in, coaches 5 seasons, then he's out. That's what happened in Oklahoma City. How do you explain it? If you are the Chicago Bulls brass, how in the world do you come up to your fans and how do you explain this? And I'll tell people full-fledged, I am a Bulls fan. I was a Bulls fan, been a Bulls fan since the early 90s. But one thing about me that I will always say is I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It doesn't matter me being a fan. It doesn't matter that I've always liked Chicago. Chicago just cannot get it done. Chicago just can't get it done. And I don't know if it's because of the situation with their ownership. I don't know if they can't somehow just get over the hump. I can't tell you. What I can tell you is this. If you're the Bulls, you have got to go in a different direction. Not only do you have to go with another coach, which at this point in the time, who do you really honestly go with? And that's the dilemma that I'm looking at. Who do you go with? You have to draft better, second of all. It's Chicago. You mean to tell me you can't get free agents in Chicago? Are you really trying to tell me right now that you cannot get free agents in the city of Chicago? Chicago is a great city. It's a sports town. You can't get people to come to Chicago. You had DeRozan. You had Zach LaVine come. They teamed up. They did their thing. But what else has to happen for this team to really get over the hump? What has to happen for this team to be looked at as a serious product? Because right now, they are not a serious product. Nobody looks at the Chicago Bulls, ladies and gentlemen, and takes them seriously. You look at anybody. You look at anybody in the sports media. Who takes the Chicago Bulls seriously right now? What NBA fan takes the Chicago Bulls seriously? What team? Who sees them as a serious threat? No one. Absolutely no one sees the Chicago Bulls as a serious threat. And that is just the bottom line. And there is nothing that anybody can say to dispute that. I mean, if you want to dispute that, you can dispute it all you want to. But how in the world do you honestly sit here and tell me that this coach deserves another year? You saw the number, you heard the numbers, you understand what the numbers say. So if you hear those numbers that I spewed out to you, basically from 97, 98 to 2010, 2011, that was the first time they had matched their wins of 62 wins. And then they had some appearances in the playoffs through that period. And then you look at Billy Donovan with one really playoff appearance, because the play-in doesn't count. The play-in does not count, folks. And you have to ask yourself, is this team serious about winning? Is this team really that serious about winning basketball games? And honestly, at this point, when you look at them as a whole, you don't view them as being serious as a team that wants to win basketball games. So we'll leave it at that. We'll go to our next topic. We'll talk some MLB, just give an update on MLB and things like that. All right, MLB update. We're just gonna go through the standings, quick. Of course, we heard about the Rafael Devers trade to the Giants. I think that's going to be actually really big for the San Francisco Giants, especially come postseason time. I think Rafael Devers is a good player. I think Devers can bring some attitude and bring some much needed spunk to that team that's needed, especially when you get to the postseason. If they get to the postseason, I think right now, before I look at the standings, they are in position as a wild card team. They're only 2.5 games back of the Dodgers, so they should have a wild card spot. But if you're looking at the Giants right now, you're looking at the NL West, you can almost, I'm not going to say it's a foregone conclusion that the NL champion who is going to come out of the West. But when you look at those teams, you look at the Padres, you look at the Giants, look at the Dodgers, that is the strongest division in the National League right now. No matter what we say about the Mets, no matter what we say about the Phillies, we know that they bring the noise. However, we understand that the most powerful division is the NL West, and there is no debating that. So let's get going here. Let's talk about some Major League Baseball, and let's talk about these standings really quick before we get to our next topic of the DC Defenders. Right now in the AL East, we have the New York Yankees, who are up 2.5 games on the Tampa Bay Rays. Surprising Rays continue to fight hard every year despite whatever they go through. The Blue Jays are third with 4 games back. The Red Sox are fourth. They're sliding pretty fast here, folks. 5.5 games back in the lowly Baltimore Orioles, who we've had so many expectations for. They've been giving us so many good memories the last couple of years. Unfortunately, they're back 12 games. AL Central, the Tigers are running away with the division, up 9 on the Minnesota Twins. The Guardians 9.5 back. The Royals 11.5 back. White Sox 22.5 back. A lot of the teams last year we looked at that we thought that could start to arise from the abyss again are starting to go back down that rabbit hole. Look at the Guardians in the AL championship game last year, and now just trying to find themselves basically 9.5 games back of the Detroit Tigers, who are the best team right now in that division, and are, in my opinion, probably third, fourth best team in the AL overall. Houston Astros, once again, the Seattle Mariners cannot figure it out. Every time you look at the Mariners, they're in first place early. The Houston Astros take over. They are 4.5 back. The Texas Rangers are 5 games back. The Los Angeles Angels are 6.5 back. And the Oakland Athletics, after starting quick, are 12 games back in the AL West. Going to the NL, which I think the NL is the most competitive, most interesting, because you look at the AL, I think it's going to be a fight between 3 teams, basically, and that is the Yankees, the Tigers, and the Astros. I think that's it. Now, you go to the NL, even though the NL West is the best division, you got teams like the Phillies, the Mets. The Phillies are only back 2 games. The Braves are 13 back. Nats are 15 back. The Marlins are 16 back. The Washington Nationals, I thought were going to do better this year, like I did last year. I thought they were going to be a little better. No, they need a little bit of a hard reset. They're going to have to make some trades here. The Chicago Cubs, another intriguing team. They're 5 up on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cubs are playing good baseball. This is good for baseball, having Chicago in the mix. The Cincinnati Reds are 7 back, but I think they're only two games back in the wild card. I'll give you that stat in a second. Pittsburgh Pirates continue to slide, 15.5 back. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to somehow, some way. They're gonna have to look at this Paul Skeens situation, and they're gonna have to somehow, some way, make a decision. This guy, man, he is 23 years old. He won't be 24 until next May. May 29th. He won't be 24 until next May. You got to get this guy some help in the offseason. The Pittsburgh Pirates have got to start spending some money. You got to take advantage of this young superstar you have, because if you don't, trade him and get him out of town. Let him go. You know, that's what the Pirates do. They get a good player, Barry Bonds of the world, McCutcheon, etc. They have some, some fun times, and then boom, they're gone. So we all expect Paul Skeens to leave Pittsburgh. So that's not even that's not even a guess at this time. And if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates, either start spending, either start doing better, or sell the damn team, or relocate or something, because it's not fair to the fans there in Pittsburgh to have to deal with this crap that they have to deal with every single year. NL West, Dodgers up 2.5 on the Giants, up 4 on the Padres, 7 behind is the Diamondbacks, and the lonely Colorado Rockies, 28.5 games back. Now, let's hit the wild card. These wild cards are interesting for me for a couple of reasons. You look at the wild cards, the 3 leaders: Phillies, Giants, Padres. Milwaukee Brewers, despite being that many games back from the, I believe I said it was 5.5 back from the Chicago Cubs, are 1 game back. The Cincinnati Reds, 2.5 back. A team that I feel like if they can somehow sneak into the playoffs, they have really good offense. Their pitching, their offense with De La Cruz, they get hot. Who knows? That's something I think a lot of fans want to see. The St. Louis Cardinals, 2.5 back. Man, another team that gets in the postseason, they can be dangerous. The Arizona Diamondbacks, 3 games back. Still a team that can play baseball. They have okay pitching, decent pitching, can get hot offensively. So that's something that's intriguing there. Now to the AL. The Rays lead the wild card up 3 games. The Blue Jays and Red Sox. So you have all the AL East teams basically in the playoffs right now. That shows just how dominant the Yankees are and how dominant that division is. Now, the Minnesota Twins, a half a game back. The Mariners, a half a game back. Texas Rangers, a half a game back. The Guardians, a game back. Despite the Guardians' struggle, they are a game back in the wild card. That is just crazy to me. The Angels, 2.5 back. The Royals, who we know can get hot, 3 games back. The Baltimore Orioles. See, okay, this is the thing I want to talk about real quick with Baltimore. We know Baltimore has talent on that team. If you're Baltimore, do you make a trade? You're 6.5 back. What is it? 71 games in. You got about a good 90. What is it? You're 71 games in. So that means you have a good 99 games left or something like that. About 90 or something like that. Is it 90? Let me see. Let me check this real quick. Let me see. They got 71 games in, 29. That's 100. Yeah, so you have about a good 80 plus games left if you are the Baltimore Orioles. Can the Baltimore Orioles get hot? I think that they can, but it's going to be difficult, especially how tough that division is. So right now, do you make trades, or do you just go into next season hoping that you can draft well if you're Baltimore, maybe get some players in free agency, etc. By All-Star break, I think that's when you know. So All-Star break will be early, middle July. They need to see what they can do, where they are between now and All-Star break. We go to Baltimore. Let me look at their schedule. They got Tampa Bay here coming up the next 2 games. You got to play the Yankees. You got the Rangers for 3 games. The Rays again for 3 games. You got the Rangers. You got the Braves. You got the Mets. And you got the Marlins. You have a tough stretch here coming up, and the All-Star break should be there. But I think the All-Star game it was at July the 15th. The way I'm looking at the schedule, so between now and July the 13th, you've got 3, 6, 9, see, 12, 13, 16, 19, 22, 25, 26. You have about 25 games between now and the All-Star break. And my question is, in that 25 or so games, as the Baltimore Orioles, what are you going to do to make headway? What are you going to do to put a gap so that when you get to the All-Star game, instead of being 6.5 back, you're 1.5 back. You're a game back. And then after the All-Star break, all bets are off. So that goes for the Baltimore Orioles. Same with the Kansas City Royals and the Los Angeles Angels. In these next 20 plus games of the Angels, are you going to take the lead in the wild card? Are you going to get closer? So by the time we get there, are you tied? Are you a game back? These are a lot of things that a lot of these teams in both division and both the AL and NL have to get figured out. And it starts now. This is probably one of the most critical times in the Major League Baseball season. It's going to start being the dog days of summer. You start getting to the dog days of August. What are you going to do? You're going to have weather. You're going to have rainouts. You're going to have this, that happened. What are you going to do to make some headway if you are some of these teams in Major League Baseball? Now, let's go to our next topic. Let's talk about a championship that was won. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, I was so happy to be able to go and cover the DC Defenders in their championship quest. They played the Arlington Renegades a few weeks back, and I was actually at that game. Covered it, did the photos as you see here. My picture, Robb Johnson photo, Jordan Ta'amu, quarterback for the Washington Defenders. I'm sorry, the DC Defenders. We go through their season. Their season was very intriguing to me for many reasons. You go through their regular season, you start out, you beat the Birmingham Stallions, who are always the juggernaut of the league, of the UFL, and the DC Defenders being on the XFL side. You beat that team 18-11. You beat the Showboats 17-12. You beat the Battlehawks 27-15, who is one of their biggest rivals. For those of you all who don't know, yes, the Battlehawks are the biggest rival of the DC Defenders. There's definitely a game next year that I'm hoping that I can get out to, especially if those teams play in a meaningful regular season game. And they beat them in St. Louis, which is a little apropos when you think about when you think about just how they not only beat them there, but they went back and beat Michigan and blew them out in the championship. They lost to the Brahmas 14-18. They beat the Renegades at the Renegades 37-33. Two great games between them and the Renegades this year. Let me say that. They lost to the Panthers in Michigan 38-14. They beat the Brahmas in revenge 32-24. The Renegades, they beat them 33-30. Again, that was a game I was at. Very exciting football game. I cannot express to you all just how much fun I had at that game. If you are not watching the UFL, if you're not watching these teams who are out here just putting their hearts on the line, playing hard every week, I'm telling you, folks, it's almost like a college atmosphere. I have to bring my face in here. It's almost like a college atmosphere. If you can't get with the UFL XFL brand, I'm sorry. It's not because you don't. It's not because of the fact that you can't identify with their brands. You just don't like football. I'm sorry, because yes, we all love the NFL, but there's other leagues out there. It's like wrestling. There's not just WWE. There's other brands as well. You have to be able to adapt to other leagues, other things. But because people can't are so enamored with the NFL, they can't understand just how good these other leagues are. And these other leagues are so good, especially UFL, XFL. They had the merger. I would like some of the structuring of the playoffs and how things are done, especially with the DC Defenders, how they beat the Renegades and they were able to go to a postseason, but they lost their last two games because they really didn't need to play in those games. They need to change that structure a little bit to make the regular season that more important. maybe change the postseason model as, if you can get more teams. I definitely believe you can get more teams in this league. I'm very intrigued to watch this league every spring. So, you go back down again. They lost to the Rednecks 24-31. They lost to the Battlehawks 13-8, which those games did not matter. You go to the postseason. They beat the Battlehawks. And if you look at it, folks, very dominant fashion too. If you look at how they beat these teams in the playoffs, they beat the Battlehawks 36-18, and then they go in and they beat the Panthers 58-34 in absolutely dominant fashion. Jordan Tamu, he had 390 yards passing in the championship game, had 204 yards against the Battlehawks as they beat the Battlehawks, and then they go to St. Louis and they win in that arena 3 times in one season. Very impressive. I'm very impressed by the DC Defenders. Can't wait to cover them next year. Hopefully, can get up to DC next year, cover some games, get on the field, do some more pictures, do some more media for that team. Very intrigued by them. Love the atmosphere, and make sure you guys come out and show out for the DC Defenders. I'm hoping that next year that they'll have the presentation, and I can actually get out to that and see that. Hopefully they'll do the presentation for the championship, and I can get out and see that. But yeah, shout out to the DC fans. Shout out to the DC Defenders. Shout out to the PR for DC Defenders. Shout out to everybody who is involved with the DC Defenders. You guys are awesome, and the Legacy Maker Sports Network thanks you so much. Thank you guys for all your hospitality. Now let's go to one of our favorite segments, Shut the Hell Up.
I need you to shut the hell up for the immediate future.
All right. You notice I didn't talk about the NBA Finals last night. It's not really about the finals. I had the Pacers in 6 now. Of course, they got to win in 7 if they want to win this championship. But I want to talk to our couple of people. First of all, you bitter ass media people on television. Halliburton called you guys out. Now you're crying. He called us out. Listen, you can talk about him not being a superstar you want to. You can say this and say that. But a lot of you guys on TV are bitter, especially people like Stephen A. Smith, who are Knicks fans. And, the Knicks, we wanted the Knicks to be in the finals so bad. We wanted the Knicks to be – the Knicks aren't in the finals. The Knicks are not in the damn finals. You know why they're not in the finals? Because the Pacers were a better basketball team. Yes, and check this out. The Knicks, because they thought that Indiana was so much beneath them, we're going to get rid of our coach. And guess what we're going to do now? We're going to go get Jason Kidd. We're going to go get this coach. We're going to get this coach because we're the New York Knicks and everybody wants to coach for us. Well, guess what? You ain't got no coach. You got no coach. You know why? Because you overestimated yourselves. You overestimated just how good you were. I've been cheering for the Knicks now for the last 3 to 4 or 5 years because I want the Knicks to do good because I know it's good for the NBA. However, I've lost a little respect for the Knicks. I've lost a little respect for the Knicks in the sense of the cockiness. You think that you're so much better than Indiana. Hasn't Indiana been showing you since the 90s that they're on your level? Haven't they been showing you that since the 90s that they can go toe-to-toe with you? When will you learn? Yes, you're New York, but you're not above anyone. You're not. You go on and you fire Tibbs, and I hear all the excuses from Knicks fans. I hear all the excuses from people on television saying that, he just wasn't good enough. He just wasn't that. Where were the Knicks before he got there? When was the last time the Knicks made an Eastern Conference Finals? They made it as an 8 seed back in 2000, 99, 2000, with Jeff Van Gundy, Latrell Sprewell, and an aging Patrick Ewing, Allen Houston, and some other dudes. Let me tell y'all something, man. Sometimes I think in sports now, we define things too many times by championships. If you don't win a championship, the season's a failure. I can tell you all firsthand, coming up, some of the most impactful, more crazy moments I had as a sports fan came in the regular season. The postseason is important. Yes, it is about championships. You want your team to hoist the trophy. But you got to get there first. And for these media folks, I'm in the media too, but some of you other media folks to want to come at Tyrese Halliburton because he called you out, you're petty. And that's the reason I'm not gonna go too deep here, but that's the reason a lot of people don't like to see certain people on television or in media because they get too damn emotional. Again, I'm not gonna go too deeply into this, but you get what I'm saying when I'm saying it. It hurts people like me who are still trying to get to that higher plateau. Some of you dudes get on TV and get so damn emotional. You get in your feelings. Oh, he called us out. So what? So what? He should have called you out because you don't give the Indiana Pacers the credit they deserve. Everything was a fluke. Oh, they beat Milwaukee. They were hurt. They beat Cleveland. They were hurt. Maybe they were, but guess what? They still had to play the games. See, the Knicks' problem is they beat Boston thinking, oh, we beat the Celtics. That's it. We're about to win the championship now. It's going to be easy peasy. We're going to see Oklahoma City. No. Indiana has something for you. If you hadn't given up that 20-point lead in the first game, guess what? You wouldn't have to worry about game 6 in Indiana. You could have had game 7 in New York, but you choked. And you blame it on Tibbs. He didn't use his bench. Well, guess what, Leon Rose? Don't give up all those picks for one player. You could have been going after, no, you can't go after KD because according to Stephen A. Smith, James Dolan is pissed because Kevin Durant was supposed to come to the Knicks and he went to the Nets and now he's harboring his feelings. See, that's the key today, folks. Feelings will get you in trouble. Get out your feelings. I've done it. I'm still learning to this day. Get out of your feelings. Let things go, because when it comes to business and feelings, they don't mix. I'm going to go ahead and combine that. Tell the world how I feel. Don't let feelings and business mix. It don't mix. I'm out.